welcome. Thanks so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you. So today's video is kind of like a list video, but also a book video. So anyway, recently I have become obsessed with list of books. And I went to Bookbub, and I found that they have tons of lists. And also another website that I found by accident was called Real Simple, and they have some as well. So what I did was I went through them and I found the list that I think would be most enjoyable for me, and I wrote them down. I have quite a few in here, but we're going to start with one that I had already read some of the books on the list. So I had a feeling that I would enjoy the books that I hadn't read yet that were on the list. So what I did was I picked 3 books off the list that I have not read, and that's what I did. So I'm going to tell you about those. But first, let's talk about the list. All right, this list I will link down below. It was published March 2nd this year, 2022. It is called Twisty Psychological Thrillers About Therapists Hiding Secrets. So I was intrigued. So I'm going to read the list as it is, and I'm going to tell you which ones that I've already read prior, and then I will tell you about the 3 that I chose. So this list has The Patient by Jasper DeWitt, The Silent Wife by A.S.A. Harrison. I read that one. The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. I read that one. The Golden Couple by Sarah Pekkanen and Greer Hendricks. The Last Resort by Marissa Stapley. The Therapist by Helen Flood. The Wrong Family by Taryn Fisher. Little Black Lies by Sandra Block. The Blind by A.F. Brady. The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I don't know what his last name is. I can never say it right. The Therapist by B.A. Paris. And Goodnight Beautiful by Amy Molly. So, like I said, I read The Silent Wife, The Woman in the Window, The Wrong Family, and The Silent Patient. I read those 4 off of the list, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on the list. And for this video, I picked 3 to read, and that was The Patient by Jasper DeWitt, The Golden Couple, and Goodnight Beautiful by Amy Molly. So let me tell you about those. Alright, so the first one I read was The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. Really enjoyed this one. I kind of figured a few things out, but I think the author, after finishing it and kind of seeing how it played out, I feel like the authors put that there for you to find so that you could feel like you were solving the mystery, but I feel like it was planned purposefully, not for you to have to, like, I don't think it would have went over many people's heads. I think they'd have been like, oh, that's what that was about. So this one is about Matthew and Marissa Bishop. Marissa has she wants to go to counseling with her husband because she has cheated on her husband. She had a one-night stand, and she feels really guilty about it. So they go to a woman named Avery as a therapist, and basically they get in the room. She asks what's going on, and so Marissa's like, I have something to tell you. And she says, you know, I've had an affair, a one-night stand, whatever. So as we're in the room with them getting the confession for this, Avery, she has lost her license. She is no longer a licensed therapist, but she is, I forget what she calls it. She talks about it in the book, but she's still able to kind of do this thing. So she has a way that she's going to send a couple on a journey to hopefully, you know, in this case, rebuild their marriage. But the further they go along, the more she realizes that it's not just the marriage that's a danger. It's more like the whole situation. She has a 10-step program, and basically step 1 is to admit your problem, and then it goes on, you know, with it. and she gives them assignments and things to try to work out certain situations. Goodness, I can't speak. Certain situations on their own, and things that they need to do in between the counseling sessions, which I think they see her like twice a week. And like I said, it's 10 sessions that they're going to be going through. And watching Matthew and Marissa try to fix their marriage, and you kind of see some things around that like unravel, and it's like, okay, what's going on? And like I said before I started talking, there was something in the book that came up, and I felt so proud of myself, because I'm like, I figured this out. Like, this is what this is, and now I need to finish the book and see if that's what it, equals to. But like I said, I feel like they wanted you to find that. That way you can have that thought in your head and kind of see what's not going on. Like, you won't notice the other thing is trucking along with you. You just focusing on that one thing you found out. So, very enjoyable. Absolutely love this book. This is their 4th book. Like I said, it's an author duo. This is their 4th one. I've read 3 of their books now. I just need to read one more, which was the 3rd one that was released. I didn't realize that one had come out, so I didn't need to go back and read that one. But first book off the list, absolutely enjoyed it. And now we need to see how I enjoyed the other 2. Okay, so book number 2, Goodnight Beautiful by Amy Molloy. This one is about a newlywed couple, Annie and Sam. They currently live in New York. Sam is a psychiatrist, therapist. Like, he was pediatric, but now he wants to open his own practice. And they are moving from New York to upstate New York to his hometown, where he was like this heartbreaking, heartthrob person when he was younger. And his mother is in a home for early age dementia. So Sam and Annie are a very eccentric role-playing type couple. So everything starts out just fine. Sam goes to work every day, but little does he know that in his downstairs apartment or office that he has, someone can hear all the therapy sessions through a vent, and he has no idea. So one night, Sam accepts a request from a patient that he's been seeing, the little French girl, to have like a private session at night at her home. He accepts. The next thing you know, nobody hears from Sam. Sam goes MIA. So at the same time, his wife is waiting for him to come home. He hasn't shown up, and she's thinking, maybe Sam's not the man I thought I married. And she was aware that he was going to be getting a inheritance and all this stuff, so she figured, well, maybe he got the money and didn't tell me and just decided to run off and leave me with all of the problems. But so we have to follow this journey, and it gets crazy from there. And surprisingly, it's kind of all tied up with a nice bow at the end. Absolutely enjoyed this story, which is a shocker because I've DNF'd something similar. But this one, the way the author wrote it, there were times when you had no idea who was speaking, which kind of made it more of a mystery that you had to figure out, because you're like, okay, this is person A, person B and C, and then all of a sudden person A isn't talking anymore, but you didn't realize it. So that was pretty cool, I thought, the way that you really couldn't differentiate between the characters to know who's speaking at the time. So I enjoyed it. It is split up into parts, I think 3 parts, but overall, fantastic read. I could not really solve any of it, which was great, but I absolutely loved how it turned out. So yes, book 2. Make sure you guys check out Goodnight Beautiful if you want a very twisty, turny thriller for sure. Okay, so the third book, which was, it was very short. It was only like a 4-hour and something audiobook, so page count can't be that high. It was called The Patient by Jasper DeWitt, and this one was about Parker. He is, I think, a therapist of some sort, and he is using online communication like message board, chronologically listing out like his sessions with a patient, and the patient that he's referring to is a 40-something-year-old man. He was originally put into this mental institution or hospital in New England at the age of 6. His parents put him there, and now at the age of 40-something, he still does not have a diagnosis. They have not pinpointed anything. They do not know what is going on. And the weird thing is that every person that has come in contact with him, especially if it's a long amount of time, like doctors, other patients, just the people that are feeding him, you know, like security bringing in food or whatever, many of them have become suicidal or going insane, and they are not cured either. Like, something is really wrong with this person. And like I said, he's been there since he is a kid. So he has specific doctors that are assigned to him at this point. And this new guy comes in and he's like, I want a chance at, you know, treating this patient. So they go through everything, and they're like, yeah, you know, you can go ahead. We'll see what, like, how you do it, and if you can come up with a diagnosis. So this guy goes in, and, you know, he's counseling this patient, and he's trying to figure out, like, what is ailing him, and, like, why is he in this mental institution without a diagnosis. So, like, this guy, he tries to break it all down, but then once he starts seeing this patient, like, his dreams run vivid, and it's just an overwhelming thing that starts happening to him. So we get to follow his journey with what he presents to the patient and how it makes him feel and what it makes him do as a result. So I really enjoyed this one. And like I said, it was super short. Like, I was able to get quite a few things done in that 4-hour time span while I was listening to it. And as I was listening, I was like, okay, well, maybe the guy might have this, or personality disorder, or this or that. And it's like, nothing, no. Nothing I could come up with would fit. So it was interesting. And I'm pretty sure, not 100%, obviously, maybe there are cases out there that something is wrong with them mentally, physically, whatever the case may be, but yet they don't have a diagnosis. After years and years of trying to figure out what is ailing them, I wonder if that really happens. They just never get a diagnosis. How do you treat a patient of any kind, whether it be medical, you know, like a physical injury, something in their head, something emotional, whatever the case may be? How do you help a patient that you can't even pinpoint their problem? So this was really interesting, and just listening to the way he presented his case onto, you know, the internet, and you did hear some feedback from people. So it was interesting to see how he used the people that were commenting to kind of help him process some of the stuff that he was processing. So it kind of shows you, like, now, like, you can go get on any internet forum or whatever with a question, or maybe you have a question, you just don't want to answer it, so you go look to see if someone else asks that question, and you can work out your problem from there. So it was pretty cool. All right, so those are the 3 books that I read off of this list. Like I said, I read, I think it was 4 books prior that were already on this list, and I knew that I liked those books, so I figured if I already liked a book off of this list, I should like the remaining books off the list. So there are still another 4 or 5 books on there that I haven't read yet, but I'm definitely going to keep in my sight where if I need a pick-me-up on a thriller, because Sometimes I just get into a slump and the only thing to pull me out is a good thriller. So hopefully I can refer back to this list if I get to the point where I can't start or finish any other books because I can't get into them. Maybe this list will pull me out of that slump. So I will link the list down below, and if I can find any video, like which videos I talked about the other books that I had already read in them, I'll try to link that down below as well. I'm not sure which ones I have to figure out what months I read what and see, but I will try to link those books that I've already read down below, and you can see my thoughts on those. So hope you guys enjoyed. Do you do this? Do you go to book lists and see if there's a list with something you already read that you enjoyed to find something else? Or are there any other places to find them besides like Bookbub or Real Simple? Like I said, those are the two I used. But then sometimes you get the list on GoodReads. But like, are there any other places? So I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.